Say you've come up with your product, you know what you want to do, but you don't know how you want to package it. So, that the first hard part is coming up with the idea. Actually, it's probably an easy part because there's so many ideas. And as creative people, if you're watching this, you're a creative person, and creative people are like bombarded by ideas 24/7. So coming up with an idea is not the problem, and the ideas, oddly enough, aren't the money makers. It's the execution. So after you come up with your grand idea, it's about the execution, and these are 5 different categories that you can execute in. These are ways that you can package your ideas. And one thing I want you to take note of is I am very aware that this is a video course or an audio course. It's an information product about creating information products. I'm very aware that that's what this is. I don't when I actually have been through some programs similar to this, and I've kind of taken the best from each of those things I've learned and created something that I think is better. But when I was going through those, I thought it was so interesting that it's like one of those Russian doll shell paradox things where like I'm watching a product about creating a product. And the idea, though, is that I'm not trying to dupe you on that, and I hope that you actually take the format that I'm giving this to you in, and think about how you can use it for your product. So right now, as I'm teaching you this in a format that I'm going to teach you how to make. Right? So let's just go over the types of products really briefly. So in the written products, let's say you have a product and you want to write it down. And writing it down is kind of the most basic thing that you can do. Outside of blogging, creating a book or an ebook is the way to get your message out there in written form. And that's pretty cool because for a couple reasons. One, it's pretty quick to produce a book, an ebook especially, but even a book. And in a later module, we'll go over exactly how to kind of format the books and ebooks to make it more comprehensive in terms of giving you a better understanding of what to do. But it's really not too difficult, and it's the quickest way to get it out there. Now, I wanted to also introduce something, and I'm actually thinking of things as I go along. So this is free flow here. So these are the least time consuming. Right? These are the least time consuming. You can literally make an ebook and you can put it out there for $29. And if you sell 100 of them, that's $2,900 a month, and that's it. So really, you're really just dependent on drawing traffic to your website. As long as you have a quality ebook, you can sell that thing and you can make money off of it as long as it's an interesting topic that people want to know. And you can do something very similar with a physical book. And what's good about physical books now, though, is that one, you don't need a publisher anymore. You can self-publish, right? And we'll talk about that later. But you can self-publish, and what that means is that you can have a mid-level publisher make your book for you, or it's called a vanity press. And I fully believe that vanity press came about as a way for the big publishing houses to discourage you publishing your own thing. Oh, it's just pure vanity. No, the reality is this isn't vanity. People aren't just self-publishing just to show their friends and family they made a book. People are actually making money off of self-published books. Many of the new bestsellers on Amazon end up being self-published books. So there are different places you can go to self-publish, and what they do is they just create your inventory as it's ordered. So when someone orders a book, they make that book for you, so there's no cost to house it, and then you just pay for the production and the shipping, and it's usually a couple of dollars per book. Pretty sweet deal, and it's also awesome to have a physical book because it really lends you some real credibility. Ebooks are now lending more and more credibility because they're so prevalent now with the advent of tablets and all that kind of stuff. Ebook authors are definitely real authors. But there's a little bit of something special about having a physical book that you can sell, and we'll talk about this later. But having a physical product helps to do more sales on the in-person stuff. But start to think about your physical book or your ebook, and as I go through these different types of products, and I know I'm talking fast here, but just remember that not every type of product is right for every market. So, for instance, the reason why I did this product in the way that I'm doing it now is because having a video format is much more comprehensive for when we're trying to create an internet product, because I need to show you things. It wouldn't be as effective to do it over audio. It wouldn't be as effective to do it via ebook, although there is a small ebook in this attached in this whole program as part of the program, but I couldn't give you all the information via ebook. It just wouldn't really be the right medium. Start to think about what your product is, what your market is, what your area of expertise is, and then think about where what type of products would lend itself best. So there's also audio, where you can use just your voice to talk to people and communicate your message. So in audio, we have audio series and teleseminars, and everyone should be doing an audio series. Audio series are awesome. Why? Well, because right now audio series are created in very much the same way that I'm doing this, except that I have a screenshot here. But basically, if you have your ideas and you have your skeleton of things you want to talk about, you can basically create your audio series by sitting at your computer, getting a decent microphone, and just going. And really, it would be as if someone asked you for your advice and you dumped everything that you knew about them in a very, very structured, organized way on a tape and told them exactly what you knew. And people crave this information. Here's the thing. If you invest in an audio seminar or an audio series, you're invested to listen to the whole thing. On YouTube or on podcasts, sometimes we get bored and we don't want to listen to the entire podcast because our attention span is like 2.5 minutes and then we're distracted. But in an audio series, you have full license and time to basically give someone everything you know. And the great thing about audio series, the amazing thing, is that they're such good tools for learning while you're on the go. So like I've listened to, I can't tell you how many audio seminars I've listened to when I'm driving. Right now I'm studying Greek and Spanish, like in my free time during the day, when I'm like in my time when normally it would be dead time, like let's say I'm in the kitchen cooking, or like I'm driving, or I'm like doing housework, or like I'm at the gym or something, and I want to get some learning time in there during time when I'd normally be dead. Audio series are an amazing way to communicate great messages that fits into people's schedules, because even for this video series, you got to sit down and watch it. You got to sit down and take some time out. But with an audio series, you can pop that thing in the car. So if you have the right type of content for that, audio series can be great. And it goes hand in hand with teleseminars. Now here's the thing about teleseminars. Teleseminars are live events that you do where you do some teaching, and of course they wouldn't be as long as an audio series. An audio series might be 4, 5, 6, 10 hours, depending on how long you wanted to do it. And we'll talk about how to break it up later. But teleseminars are live events that you do where you teach people via telephone. So there's a great place you can go, freeconferencecall.com. Again, we'll go over all this stuff again for the different types. This is just an overview. But the great thing about teleseminars is that they kill two birds with one stone. Let's say you want to do some teaching to people. You can do a teleseminar as a free promotional event to draw people into your event and give them great content. It's really easy for you. It's not too long. But at the same time, as you're doing that teleseminar, you can actually record the teleseminar. Okay, listen to this. You can record the teleseminar, and then you can make that into a product. So you're killing two birds with one stone. On the one hand, you're giving out free content to people. You're giving them a great teleseminar. It's live. It's unscripted for the most part. It's fresh off the top of your head. But on the other hand, you're saving that as a product for later that you can include in other things. It's pretty powerful stuff. And it's similar to what I've done with the interview series that I did. I created these interviews and they're free content, but then I packaged them with the program that you bought. And for a couple of reasons. One, yes, do I know that you could go on my website and download off all the expert entrepreneur series and listen to them? Yes. But I've just made it easier for you. I put all the interviews in one place so you can just scroll through them, skip who you want, skip who you don't want, and listen to it at your leisure. So I know that you can get them if you download them all individually, but I've just made it easier for you. So I've made the package a little bit more appealing, a little bit more valuable, and also I haven't banked on the fact that you've listened to every single one, so you're going to hear some stuff you haven't heard before. So, but I've created a better package for you. I've created something that's more valuable because all that stuff is in there now, and it didn't take me too much extra time. So that's the cool thing. You can recycle this stuff. Now let's talk about video. That's kind of what we're watching now, right? So there are a couple things you can do. You can do DVDs, you can do streaming or online stuff, and you can do webinars. So here's the thing about DVDs. DVDs are dying. They are on their way out in many ways, but there are a couple places where they're still pretty cool, or they're still a pretty good market. So one of my other markets that I work in is the fitness market, and especially the mom fitness market. Okay. And at this point in time, although we have tablets and smartphones and computers, when most people work out, they work out in their living room and they work out in front of the TV. And most TVs right now are not smart TVs. Most TVs still have some sort of DVD player attached to them, right? So for this market, it was beneficial for me to start making DVDs. And there are a couple ways you could do DVDs to make them. They're very similar to the ebooks, or I'm sorry, to the physical books, in that you can self-publish your DVDs now, and you can have them shipped to or you can have them shipped from a fulfillment center where basically you won't pay to have all that inventory made. You'll only pay when a DVD is created, when someone orders one, and they'll just cut you the check. They'll maybe take $2 or $3 off top and cut you the check, send you the rest. And there are two places you can go for that. You can go to disc.com, which is a pretty good place to go to. I like disc.com. And there's also not Kajabi, but Kandabi, and I will. I know it's confusing, but I'll also put those up when we cover the DVDs and the video section in another module. You know, I'll spell all that stuff out for you. But I'm just telling you, you don't need a full inventory. It doesn't cost hardly any money, and they handle it all for you. So basically, you just send them the MP4 file or the .mov file or whatever. They send you back the templates for how to design your DVDs. In terms of like the design structure, you can either go into Photoshop and design that yourself if you have that skill, or you can go on to elance.com and have a designer do it for like a couple $100, $100. You know, someone in India, you know, Portugal, Filipinos have great rates, and they'll design it for $100 or so. You send it back to disc.com. They slap the DVD cases together. Boom, you got a product. The cool thing about DVDs is that just like physical books, you can sell them in your in-person events. It's harder to sell, not harder to sell, but it's more authoritative, I feel like, to have physical products at the back of the room to sell. When you have a physical product, it just looks cool. When you have a boxed DVD set, it just looks cool, you know? So I do think they're on their way out, but they do have some use. Think about that, depending on what your market is. Also, streaming or online. So that's what this is right now. This isn't streaming because I'm recording this before you're going to watch it, but it is online. And so a great way to create content with literally zero overhead cost to you is just to record something on your computer like I'm doing now, and then placing it online and placing it on an online portal, just like you're accessing this. You set up a membership site, you have people pay to access your information, and then you give it to them that way. And there are a couple ways you could do that. The reason why I decided to space the kind of the rollout of the product out where you only get a couple bits of information at a time, it's just because when you plop someone down and you give them all the information at once, they get overwhelmed, they don't want to do anything, and they end up in the same place that they left off usually. So that's why I'm only showing a couple videos a week rather than giving you all the videos at once, because it's very, very nice to be led through a program. And I know, because I've been led through programs, and I've been kind of left in the cold with a bunch of information, and I know that being led through a program is cool. And with a streaming or an online program, you have the ability to do that because you can control when content is released. If you ship someone a bunch of DVDs, they're just going to either do it or they're not. If you ship someone P90X, you know, they get 12 DVDs to their door, and then they're like, okay, now what do I do with all these things? But if you can release the content on a week-by-week basis, then people can stay paced, and it's just like a classroom experience, which is awesome. And it's literally no overhead cost to you, and it's instant delivery for them, so they don't have to wait for it in the mail. Awesome stuff. Last but not least, webinars. Webinars are the equivalent of teleseminars, except that they are streaming web events. So you can even see down here, if you look at my screen, this is GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar. It's the same. They're the same company. It's an application that allows you to basically stream yourself live and create web presentations for people. And the cool thing is, just like teleseminars, you can use them as free pieces to attract people to your content. You can use the webinars to sell things later, and then you can also record the webinars and package them into products and resell them later. Because you can't depend on the fact that everyone has seen every webinar you've ever done. Just because you've released some content for free in the past doesn't mean that you can't repackage that content, combine it with new things, redesign it, and then re-release it for paid. For a paid product. What do you think all these major corporations do? Do you think that they said, oh, well, we've already created, what do you think Nike does? You think Nike says, oh, well, we've already created the Air Force One, so we're not going to, next time we release that, it's going to have to be free, you know, because we've already created it once. No, they repackage it, they redesign it, and they put it back out there, and people will buy it again because it's new. It's new now, you know. It's improved. Even a couple moderate improvements on an old product can make something way more appealing, you know, because there are things that people wanted that they didn't get last time, and now they're getting it. So create your webinars, create them as interesting content that you can use to draw people to, or you can use them as paid products right off the bat. That's what I've done with SAT in the past. SAT products for school stuff, for SAT prep. Imagine having a $50 webinar, right? And you have a pretty decent list, and you get 200 people into your $50 webinar. Boom, that's $10,000 in one shot. It's a 1-hour webinar. You just made 10 grand an hour. Everyone feels good because $50 for an hour of your time is nothing, especially if you're giving them great stuff. But on the other hand, with the volume of the internet, you've made a ton of money. So it's a win-win. It's a complete win all the way around, and you just really can't beat us. Webinars are awesome. If you're going to do webinars, I recommend GoToMeeting, not GoToWebinar, because GoToWebinar, you can't show your face live, and I think that showing your face is pretty valuable. All right, next one, continuous content. So membership, newsletter, and coaching mastermind stuff. So membership series, sometimes it's really, really valuable to be able to come up with new, fresh content all the time and have a group of people who have access to it, who are part of kind of like your inner circle, and they can be your membership community, right? So you could charge a certain amount of monthly fee. You could set up a webinar. You could set up a membership portal like I have on my website right now, and you can give out exclusive content that no one else is getting, that you're not posting on YouTube, that you're not showing anywhere else, for a membership fee. And it's really cool because people start to feel the benefit of the community. They can get to know you better, and you can actually have different levels of your membership fee, that allow more and more access to you for information. And you can charge that on a consistent basis. It's cool because people don't feel like they're paying a big chunk of money. They feel like they're getting a good amount of value, but also you're getting consistent income month after month. So if you're charging, $29, $39, $49, $50, or more for, depending on what your product is, for a membership site, it would be pretty cool because you're guaranteed that amount of money per month. It charges their debit card. You give them the content, they give you the money. Everyone's happy, and that's don't feel like that's a bad thing. I mean, you're probably paying for Netflix membership right now. I know I am, and they charge me, and guess what? I'm not mad about it. I am okay with it. And that kind of goes hand in hand with a newsletter. It's really good to have free newsletters via things like Aweber and whatnot, and they help to generate leads and build your list and disseminate your content and make sales. But also, you can have paid newsletters that are kind of like, again, like your inner circle stuff, with stuff you're only releasing to these members, right? And all this goes hand in hand with coaching and mastermind. So all this kind of goes under the veil of coaching, but there's also this thing called mastermind, where you get together some of your best students, right? And you guys really, really talk about moving each other forward, not just through the products that you created to sell to them, but through joint effort. So that's like connecting people. It's about meeting a couple times a year physically, or via Skype, or in a way where you all are very connected and talking about ideas, talking about how you can move each other forward, coaching people through problems that they're having individually, being collaborative. It's a community group. So we're talking, a small group, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, but you charge premium prices for this. And this is where it really starts to become super valuable for them, but also really lucrative for you. Because think about it. I mean, I wish, when I was doing my bodybuilding thing back, like 5, 6 years ago, I wished I would have had like a mastermind group of like really experienced bodybuilders, or people who were on the same path as me, who weren't as experienced, but were like all learning from one good coach. I wish I had someone that could encourage me, and someone that could like bring me along the path, and people I could bounce ideas off of, because I felt very alone in my niche, my like self-proclaimed niche, and you can find communities online, but there's nothing like having a group of people who are committed to helping you, and especially if there are other entrepreneurs in your area who are committed to helping each other. The more you get into this, the more you realize that although we're doing stuff on the internet, people are the ones behind the computers. You have to deal with physical people. You have to talk to people. So the better relationships you can form with people, the better success your online business is going to have. Don't ever forget that the computers you're talking to, that the little Twitter robots, many of them are real people, and you need to treat them like real people. And that's why masterminds work so well, and are also really valuable. And last but not least, we have in-person stuff. So some of the mastermind and the coaching stuff can be in person. Oh, and by the way, the coaching can be one-on-one individual clients. I don't like doing that as much anymore because it's hard to have a lot of individual clients and give them all the same amount of value. And also, I like to have a bigger impact on a more amount of people with less of my time, so I can do more things that I want to do. That's the whole goal of this anyway, right? last but not least, in person. So in person can be seminars, which are speeches, or I'm sorry, seminars and keynotes, which are speeches. So I want you now to start thinking about, within the next 12 months, doing a seminar. Seminars, just like masterminds, are highly lucrative. In fact, so are keynote speeches. If you have a topic where you are an expert, people will pay to see you present about it live. And as you build your list and create a list of people who want to see you speak, who want to hear your thoughts, you will you'll generate an audience for that. And I want you to think, okay, this doesn't have to be some Tony Robbins seminar. You don't have to have an auditorium packed out with 2,000 people. It would be nice, but it's not necessary. If you're worried about having small numbers, then guess what? Get a small space. Get a space in a hotel, a small conference room for 20 people. If that's how many people you think are going to come, and just start signups early. That's the key. If you're going to do a seminar, a year from now, start in 6 to 8 months. Start really prepping the engine, start getting the wagon going. And we'll talk more about this when we really talk about building that list and, creating the content and marketing, creating buzz, all that kind of stuff. But start that engine going soon. And think about this, man. Seminar prices, the bar has been set pretty decent for seminar prices, pretty high. So whereas you might get a DVD course for like $500 or $1,000, it's really not unusual to have a seminar that costs like $2,000 sometimes. And you think about it, this is a great value, especially if you're going to spend a whole weekend with someone. You have to really think that, like, man, especially if I'm in a close-knit seminar with someone who really knows what they're talking about, that $2,000 is nothing, because they're pouring their ideas out to you live, and you have the access to talk to them, to bounce ideas off them, to learn, to grow in leaps and bounds. I mean, a simple example is, when I was playing football in high school, one summer I went to an NFL pro camp, and that's basically like a seminar. It's a hands-on experience in what I wanted to learn. And going back into the season the next year, I was light years ahead of my competition, and I was playing defensive end at the time. I'm not really huge. I'm not a big guy in terms of, like, I'm well built, but I'm not like a defensive lineman body type. So for me to be playing defensive end and like basically tackling huge guys that are way bigger than me, getting around offensive linemen that are way stronger than me, it was because of a skill set. But I couldn't have learned that skill set kind of on tape or on a DVD or like just reading off the internet. I needed people to put their hands on me, coach me, get in my face, and do what I needed to do. I was like a 160-pound starting defensive end on varsity. Which is like, oh, that's my like one claim to fame in life. But the reality is that it was the live interaction that helped me. It was the skill building in person. That stuff helps. So seminars are extremely lucrative, and they're also really valuable. So they're really good things to think about. We'll talk more about how to do them later. Keynotes, last but not least, start looking for organizations that are looking for people like you to speak. For me, I look to speak to 20-somethings, to 20 or people in their 20s, 19 to 29. A lot of people in their 30s and their 40s actually still really love my content because it's young, it's fresh. It's no bullshit. It takes no prisoners. So they work as well. But I also really focus on the college market. So I'm going to start doing seminars to the college circuit. And it's really cool because all you have to do is start looking for different colleges to see what their internal buzz is, figure out where your message is needed, and then introduce yourself in a very, very tactful way. And we'll talk about how to do that later because that's a whole process. But the whole idea is that keynote and event speeches can be really lucrative, and they're another way to get your message out there. And all this kind of stuff that we've seen kind of feeds on itself. When you do more and more of this, all of this starts to work better and better. So as you can see, there are a ton of things you can do. Let me zoom out a little bit. A ton of things you can do to make this more effective. And really all you have to do is go out there and get it. So, what are you waiting for? Well, we'll talk more about all the specific stuff about how to get the stuff off the ground in a later module.